10, I am pleased to introduce to you Marc Webb.
There's this thing that people tell you. It's a favorite of teachers and parents, babysitters, yoga instructors and police, rabbis, priests, and pastors. Later on, you'll hear it from lawyers, from doctors and bosses, presidents and professors, pretty much anyone in a position of authority. It's two words: be careful. Be careful, young lady. Be careful, young man. Be careful, kid. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Well, don't. I'm here to tell you, don't be careful. Be bold, be aware, be thoughtful, but don't be careful. When I hear be careful, it always makes my heart shrink just a little bit. It sounds like code for be frightened. And that's the wrong message for this day in particular. As I see it, there are two major motivating forces in life. There is passion and there is fear. Where passion is the undying thirst to achieve a goal, fear is the paralyzing instinct aimed at self-preservation. I'm not sure which one is more powerful, passion or fear. There's a lot of both in this world. While their lives are often more complicated and difficult, passionate people achieve extraordinary things because passion is the single most efficient fuel out there. It can build empires, create magnificent art, cure disease, whereas fear makes lives smaller. Fearful people, and there are so many, become shadows. It's true, they are safer. The fearful are humiliated and hurt less, but it becomes a life of reaction, not of action. And I'm not sure what kind of life that is. A few years ago, I brought a film crew back to West to direct a music video for a band called Jimmy Eat World. We were looking to uncover some raw emotion, that churling, brutish youth filled with anxiety. But what we found here was much, much worse. The kids at Madison West High School were sophisticated, thoughtful, articulate, and well-adjusted, which makes for really, really bad TV. This is why I feel okay telling you don't be careful, because, my dear class of 2010, you are smarter than they think you are. If me telling you don't be careful inspires you to jump into the polar bear exhibit at the Vilas Park Zoo, text while driving, stick your finger in a fan, do shots of formaldehyde or whatever else you kids are doing these days, you will have made the species stronger by your absence. Phew. But I don't think you're going to do that because you are smarter than you think you are. Be daring, be arrogant, be funny, but whatever you do, don't be careful. I believe we are the product of trillions of natural experiments, each aimed at making the species more viable. Your instinct, your intuition, your heart is the result of that, and it is worthy of your trust. Your heart will tell you when to stand up. Your heart will tell you when to back down. Your heart will tell you when to rejoice, and your heart will tell you when to mourn. But the heart is a muscle. It needs exercise to work properly. Several years ago, back in Los Angeles, I fell for a girl, hard. We had a quick romance. She was smart, beautiful, fun. But for whatever reason, I did not make her heart beat faster, and she ended it. I couldn't get her out of my head. I tried to bite my tongue. I tried to wait it out, but I couldn't. So I wrote a letter. A confession, really. Part plea, part passion. I crafted the verse, each word precise, each phrase alive with my love and the reasons why she should come back to me. It was the only way I could find of letting my heart speak. I had lunch with her, and against all logic, against the advice of my much wiser friends, I gave her the letter. And as soon as I handed off this sonnet, I realized I had made a huge mistake. The words which were circling in my head went from sounding like something Shakespearean to something sounding like mutilated greeting card poetry. It was clumsy, desperate, immature, and instead of bringing her closer, it drove her away. It was ridiculous and silly and one of the best things I've ever done, because it was how I felt. I didn't get her back. And a few months later, I ran into this young woman's roommate. It was at some Los Angeles sidewalk cafe. She coerced me into sitting down, and before long she brought up that letter. Not only was this roommate aware of it, she had read it. She listed the reasons why writing this letter was a bad idea. It was embarrassing to the young woman and to me. It made it difficult for my ex-girlfriend and I to be friends for fear I would make some other awkward confession. Basically, the letter achieved the exact opposite result of what I intended. The friend, she gave me a stern look, and I remember this. She shook her head and she laughed. She laughed at me in my letter. You can't do that kind of thing, she said. You gotta be careful. I walked away from that cafe humiliated and telling myself, yeah, you gotta be careful. But that feeling didn't stick because I am not careful. Not long after, I took that gut feeling, studied it, thought about what I did wrong and what I didn't, read a few scripts, found a couple of like-minded writers, and made a movie called 500 Days of Summer, which is effectively a longer letter with a few more jokes. And the same feelings that girl warned me against helped create a movie that cost around $7 million and made $70 million. It has opened up a world of opportunities and adventures which I could not have fathomed when I was sitting where you were not so long ago. Being honest with yourself isn't only good karma, it's good business, and being careful had nothing to do with it. Instincts are not always convenient. They can embarrass you, they can lead you astray, they can make you get into fights with people bigger than you, they can make you speak when everyone wants you to be quiet. But I'm here to tell you, you must have faith in that voice. We've all said it, be careful. And most often it comes from a very good, very kind place, but it's too generic. Watch out, for, duck. Well, these are all specific and typically very useful. Be careful, however, sounds like an order given to those about to start a journey. It is our last fleeting bit of influence on the ones we hold dear. What we really mean is, I love you, or be aware of the world around you, or call me at least once a week. All of these are more daring than be careful, and in my opinion, much more likely to achieve the desired result. I'm not advocating recklessness, because I believe your heart will tell you when to pay attention to the details. I'm not advocating naivete, because I believe your heart will lead you to wisdom if you let your heart lead. Sometimes we silence that inconvenient voice. We do it with booze. We do it by blaming other people. We do it by making excuses and by wallowing in disbelief and cynicism. We do it because at that moment, it makes life a little easier to bear. But the way of the heart, it ain't easy, but it is far more fulfilling. Listen to your heart in the quiet moments. Listen to it during the storms. No matter how long you've forgotten, it is there, I guarantee it. So go forth. Stumble on seashells, walk into walls, fall in love even if they don't love you back. Longing gets boring, and when it's time, your heart will move on. Start a band, design a shoe, write a love letter and send it. Travel to Bali, raise llamas, scream from the rooftops, dance in the morning, dance at night. Move to Paris. Write a book, even if it's bad. When you run out of money, you'll learn you have to write better. Or you'll learn that that's my personal lesson. Or you'll learn that you'd rather do something else, or you'll just keep on writing. Your heart will tell you. Smell the Himalayas, argue your point, lose. Refine your point and argue again. In every failure lurks a greater triumph. Find it. Be bold, be aware, be wrong, be right, be humble, be quiet, be loud, be arrogant, be mysterious, be nimble, be clear, be messy, be free. Just make sure you are listening to your own voice, and whatever you do, don't be careful. Thank you.